Give us a few examples, a few phrases of I ams or self-empowerment phrases.
Right. So, and it's something that I don't just tell myself. It's something that it's how I want to carry myself. It's the kind of vibe that I want to. It's the kind of man that I want to become normally, right? And for example, I have a whiteboard next to my breakfast counter, right? Mm-hmm. Every morning when we're having breakfast, I tell my daughter 5 things. And I said, these are your top 5s, okay? These are daddy's high fives for you. And it just starts with me telling her, Camila, you are loved. I need you to know that. Camila, you are kind. Camila, you are a wonderful person, right? Camila, you are a strong and smart individual. And I always finish off with this. I always let her know that life is great because of her, and that I am very thankful and I'm very grateful to have her, right? So it's imagine starting your day with that, with positivity. Imagine starting your day with these affirmations that you're a kid. It's just a norm for you. Like you still haven't gone through these things in life that like make you appreciate those words. Mm-hmm. I just think that they become not genetic makeup, but it forms them mentally.
Epigenetics, yeah.
Mentally, right? She'll know that she's kind. Therefore, she is going to do kind acts. Therefore, she is going to promote kindness. You know, she's going to know that she's loved. So if anyone or any bully tries to say some shit to my kid, you know, she's not going to believe it, man, because she hears that you are awesome and you are kind and you are a great person a lot more than she's going to hear somebody trying to bully her, right? So she's filled with this mental, with this psychology already that she doesn't even know about, you know? And that's how it matters, because I mean, that's what matters. It's good to achieve personal goals, right? But ultimately it's about, as cheesy as this sounds, man, it's about making the world a better place, right? And I think that it's easier now, more than it's ever been, to be able to achieve your goals. It's also easier now than it's ever been to not be ignorant, man. Mm-hmm. I mean,
we have the phone or our smartphone,
yeah.
The power of our fingertips of knowledge right away. We can know everything we want to know about, I don't know what subject, the cosmos.
Goddamn anything.
Anything that you want, you can find it out real quick.
Yeah.
I can understand it. You can even Google Translate. It's craziness.
It's pretty awesome. It's pretty amazing. I think, and just touching on that for a moment, we have seen the change, dude. I mean, I still remember learning how to cite encyclopedias.
Yeah.
When we're like doing like these state reports in the elementary school. We would have to go find the encyclopedia and know like the book, the author, the page. But then it was very limited. We had to absorb that idea. Right? And who's printing these books? Who is the one that like is interested in those ideas to be told to the masses, right? And that touches very much into the topic of what we're talking about, is how to make it out of a dark place, right?
Knowing that you can help others, right? Like a message.
Yeah, but I think that like we make it into that dark place. I mean, I could be wrong, fucking A, but I don't feel like I'm wrong about saying this. There's a lot of people in dark places because we were systematically fucked. The system is, I mean, anyone can succeed, anyone can achieve their dreams. But we all know that life is not fair, right? We all know that that there are some topics and things that we frankly didn't learn in school, and now that we're learning history because of the internet, because of so much information is available, more than 50% of the shit that I was taught in school, I don't believe and I have dismissed. And a matter of fact, it was fucking embarrassing and disappointing that I had to pay for education, that we had to do all these things, or that these professors or teachers were, I mean, they're either fucking dumb and they're not woke, or they don't really see, or didn't grasp that they themselves were teaching fucking lies, right? Or they did, but fucking, who cares? It's a paycheck, right? I mean, they're human too. Like, what are they gonna like become a revolutionary and like start all of a sudden like changing people? It was difficult for them to do that, bro. But I feel like the internet has given us that tool.
Social media
has given us a tool to reach it.
I mean, look at us now. We're talking to an audience, to people.
Yeah.
And our ideas are now transmitted freely.
Oh, and it feels so good. This is the first time I do this. This is just being able to. I like to hear myself speak, you know what I'm saying? I like to talk a lot. So this is really exciting for me, man. Being an introvert, being someone who is antisocial, because I choose to be. I just really enjoy this chapter of my life because I have made it through a dark area.
And you did it through being in solitude to really discover who you are.
I guess to let people know about, if I can kind of paint a picture of this dark time in my life. About a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. Now, mind you, the entire year, 2 years before that, it was like one of those like, I'm gonna test myself to be a good father, to be a providing man. I was doing all the things that I thought I needed to do, all the shit that like the system or these ideas that I had.
Social constructs.
Thank you. Yeah, but something, something was off. I didn't want the life of having to wake up, have a 9 to 5, for the most part doing some shit I didn't like for some people that I didn't like. And to me, that was agony. It was agony, and
you're basically becoming disconnected to who you truly are.
Right, but I felt like I needed to do that. I needed to do that because that's what men do. That's how you're supposed to raise your family. You're supposed to provide. You're supposed to you're supposed to throw the idea in the garbage of pursuing your passions, your desires, even just like shit that you're like just kind of wondering about. You have to be programmed, and you had to feed the beast, man, right? And when the separation happened, I felt like all of that was just literally like taken from underneath me. And I victimized myself because I was working before. I was providing. I was very involved with my daughter. Communication between my daughter's mother and I was great. So I thought it was great, which actually has just nothing to do with the separation. But the fact that there was something that just the life of like all of a sudden having more children, and to me it was like kind of stressful. It was like there was a calling in my heart that was like letting me know that like
from like almost like your higher self, spirit within.
It wouldn't let me. It was like, why am I not living with joy? Why am I not joyous? Right? Sure, I find joy in like in knowing that I can provide, right? But anyways, all of a sudden was living in a new place, new town, don't really know anyone. At this time, I don't really care to engage with anyone. I have to figure out how I'm going to transition now, what kind of man I am now. And unfortunately, I fell to alcohol and to abusing alcohol in a way that I never had before. No structure, no goals, just angry. just waking up, and the very first thought in my mind was probably something negative. You know what I mean? And go figure, I was like feeding myself that. As soon as I was conscious, I was like, and it just kept getting worse. And the people that I was meeting were people that were like encouraging these actions that were making me feel like shit.
It's like reinforcing that habit of thought.
And it keeps happening. It kept happening. And then I got overweight. And then I started having problems, like physical problems. And I'm 32, right? I've always been athletic. I've always loved sports. I've always been active. But within that 1 year, within a year, I did so much damage to myself. That self-love, and actually realizing one day that I was fucking up, right? And that my daughter she didn't deserve that. When I realized that, there was something that set me off, that kind of really started this like, this internal look of like, I used that rage, and I used that that feeling of like, it all of a sudden it was like a double-edged sword, feeling like a victim. It all of a sudden was like, I was turned against. I used that energy to judge myself. You know what I mean? Just like I was like blaming people, blaming that I had the wrong people, blaming all these other factors. I started to blame myself. And that's what it was. And it was as simple as literally cutting everybody out. Being by yourself. Accepting that you're afraid. Accepting that you're vulnerable. And realizing that you want to change, and wanting to change. The power of prayer, the power of self-manifestation. Words are powerful. Affirmations. All these. I mean, it's all the same. It's all the same thing. I mean, it's labeled differently, but ultimately, it's speaking to your higher self. When people say, I'm speaking to the God, I'm speaking to a higher power, I'm speaking to
universe, or
to the universe. You don't hear a literal voice answering back. It's in you already. It comes to you, right? I feel like we all know and have the answers that we are seeking, if we just learn how to ask. If we learn how to ask it for ourselves, right?
And being open to see it actually happen. Because I've heard from people where they'll ask that question and believe that they're not getting an answer. But then through an outside perspective, I'm seeing exactly what the answer is. And finally, it's really hard to have someone come to that realization on their own. But eventually when they do, you're like, the answer was there the whole time.
And I knew it.
You just had to look.
Right? And you're like, somehow I had to, I felt like I knew that's what I needed to do. Right? And being very, very picky about what you choose to engage with.
Even people.
I mean, gosh, in every level, people, ideas can change can change you. What you eat will absolutely change you. The music you listen to will change you, and it won't change you. You'll just connect to that. See what I mean? It's that's what I mean about connecting to certain frequencies, certain energies, certain. Even ideas are energies. Be aware of the choices that you're making, and you may realize that you have to change fucking almost everything, and that's okay. Because if you're already not happy with yourself and you're already struggling with depression or with the desire to be something else, it's okay to let go. Let it go. Fucking A, it feels so much better when it's so much better to feel like you're a blank slate than to try to figure some shit out, or to try to fix some broken some broken plates that you've been fucking carrying with you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's a sense of liberty, just liberation. There's a sense of freedom. But that's where the hard work starts, and it's only making changes, being aware of this new change that you want. You know what I mean?
Visualize it, that big picture.
Right.
What you need to do now, who you are, who you will become.
Right. So for me, it was like realizing that I was fucking up as a dad, that I wasn't happy. I wanted to be happy. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't being a good dad, and I was seeing the change in my kid, even within a month of changing the person that I was with her. There was a change in her, right? But then at the same time, within that month of me deciding that I wanted something new, and I prayed to be able to leave where I was living, right? And I was in a point in my life where I wasn't ready financially to do that, right? But I knew that I didn't want to be there, and I asked for an opportunity to do it. Not even 2 weeks after that, man, I got the opportunity that led me to where I live now, and it's out in the country. I mean, I don't have neighbors for miles, right? And I isolated myself, and within the last 10 months, right? Mm-hmm. I've had nowhere to go but to come home after I work or after I do what I do, and to work on myself. I wasn't influenced by neighbors, by friends, by anybody, right? It was about me. I looked in, and there was a battle. I even went into another depression then, maybe even like a deeper depression, right? Because like once you ask for something and you get it, then it's like, okay, well, fuck, well, what now? Because you think sometimes that you're not happy in that if you get this, it's gonna make me happy. Well, guess what? Like sometimes you get that shit and it doesn't make you happy. You're still, you know, like, and it actually makes you feel worse, because then you're like, damn, I got what I thought was gonna make me happy, and I'm not happy, right?
You can't find that external happiness if you're not even happy with your own internal world. You'll never be accepting. Subconsciously, you'll never be accepting of it, and you'll just realize I'm still left with myself.
Right. So then, what seems to be the common trend right now of this very normal feeling that seems to be almost an epidemic, right? In America, depression and anxiety. Medication. What kind of medication? Well, shit, if you trust, if you trust that like what's available to us by the government, that's gonna fix the problem, well then, I mean, the problem would have already been fixed, but it just keeps getting worse, right? So for me, my answer that I believe wholeheartedly, that has completely given me the power and given me the power. I mean, it gave me hope, and it gave me confidence, and it gave me so much of the shit that I used to connect with, that I was me when I was a kid. I started finding that I was becoming healed through, as crazy as it sounds, through what Mother Nature offers, man. And I'm talking about holistic remedies, man. Being cool with your higher self, being okay, accepting these ideas that were like kind of loony, right?
And at our age, and people that are a little bit older, even Grover from my co-host on my podcast, have said this. These thoughts that he's saying were loony. This whole spiritual metaphysic movement, was loony.
Yeah, absolutely. And systematically, we're thought on that, right? Why do we not have access to, I mean, we're finding out now. We've been in the age of information for quite some time. It's been great to see the growth. For me, what changed it was changing my diet to eating whole foods, fucking eating plants, man. roots, fruits, vegetables, spices, nothing processed. The salt that I eat is like, you know, Himalayan salt. Smart about the shit that we're doing, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, just be smart and understand that what is readily available for us is fucking killing us, man. It's like it all goes obesity. There's guaranteed. Okay, I'm not a doctor. I don't know I don't have to fucking be a doctor, or I have all this data to back what I'm saying. But when I was out of shape and felt like I was like obese, then I felt depressed. I felt depressed because I didn't have the energy that I once had. I felt depressed that it's just that I wasn't attractive, that I no longer felt like a man.
And then that's like some negative mental self-talk.
Yes.
And you started feeling down emotionally because your physical side was...
Well, because you're not getting any reinforcements from anything, because your diet is fucked up, your mind is fucked up, it's clouded by maybe by all the shit that's like available to us, which we
were just messing around with right now.
You know what I mean? But as I take a little drink, right? But that's okay. I mean, this is what I mean about being better once you go through situations and once you feel confident because you have made it and you have conquered shit like that like there was a time when I was like, I'm not gonna drink anymore. I'm not gonna have a beer. I'm not gonna have a drop of alcohol. And mind you, I love beer, right? It got to a point where it was like a cool thing. It was like, you know, like everybody was drinking IPAs, I'm hanging out with my friends or doing something, just going to these breweries. It was like a social thing. But it wasn't healthy, okay? So instead of like me looking at this and being afraid of it and hiding from it and turning from it, and I'm giving it power. I'm giving it power over me, right? Mm-hmm. But as long as it's used in a way that's moderate, right? I mean, shit. I had my vegetables today. I went to the gym today. It was a very productive day, right? And so
I would say so. This is your first video,
right? It's led to like pretty cool stuff. And so this is celebratory. This is also, it's allowing me to release some of like the nerves, you know what I'm saying? But it's also very much a realistic issue, right? That I feel really good about the outcome of going through trials and tribulations. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm a different person now, for sure. Talk about habits, right? I juice every morning. Every morning, I live a intermittent fasting lifestyle.
Yoga.
I do yoga now. Which is teaching me not just like strength in my body, in my core, and it's teaching me how to breathe right. It's teaching me how to release and let go of all the shit that I'm doing that's in my mind, that within that time when I'm on that mat, that to me that mat is sacred. When I get on that mat, I'm almost grateful and I'm paying tribute to the mat, because that is where I do self-work and self-healing, right? And it's so much fun. It's so much fun to learn new things. It's so much fun to engage and to all of a sudden you start to make these changes, and just it's like a new life. It's like you're riding a completely new wave. You know what I mean?